one of the most important things you can do when you work on product is actually just spend time talking to your users, understanding and observing, what they're actually trying to do. Because a lot of times when you send out surveys, you'll get these sort of static bullet point answers that don't really give you much of a nuance between the lines, like who they are, what's their actual motivation and job to be done. And so, yeah, well, the churn feedback that I just mentioned is a big one. I mean, the minute you have launched a subscription product, you can start gathering that churn feedback. So even if you've only got 10 customers, not all of them are going to stick around. That's just the nature of SaaS. And so you're going to get some feedback pretty quickly. And so the best thing you can do is start listening to that feedback super quickly. But it's important to balance talking to your happy customers as much as your unhappy customers as well, because you tend to, you want to optimize for those who are seeing value as well. And how can you give even more value? Because they're already showing signs of being really engaged, passionate, loyal users who will go and shout your name from the rooftops. And so how can you make them even more sticky, even more passionate as well? Build out to them. And to do that, you really just, surveys, in-person interviews, and we do a mixture of both. Obviously, in-person qualitative interviews are not super scalable, but it is super important, especially if you're a product-driven growth company. One of the most important things you can do when you work on product is actually just spend time talking to your users, understanding and observing, what they're actually trying to do. Because a lot of times when you send out surveys, you'll get these sort of static bullet point answers that don't really give you much of a nuance between the lines, like who they are, what's their actual motivation and job to be done. And so, but surveys are obviously really effective and efficient as well. You can get 2,000 responses back overnight and have, a slightly more significant body of data. And so, yeah, I think those three qualitative sets of inputs, as well as, in terms of feature development, I think those three qualitative sets of inputs are the most important you can be diving into really regularly. And you'll start to see trends emerge in that as you categorize them. Similar requests will come back again and again and again. And they, at the very least, they give you hypotheses with which to go and maybe talk to users and sort of tease out ideas as well. I think you'll rarely jump straight from, user said they want this feature, let's just go and build it. That can often be a recipe for disaster and a great way of sinking a lot of time, energy and resources into something that maybe was something that's not representative of all of your users. So it's good to spend obviously a lot of time validating after you get these inputs, but start with the inputs.
Yeah, sure. And so in the beginning, you had the pro option, the paid option, the Canva for Work, and you needed to show people that they could upgrade, that there was these extra features, right? How did you identify those places to test, to say, this is an area or that's an area?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you start with those features and you start with building those features for the pro user. And so you sort of start with what is the right user experience here? What's the right UX in the product? Where does this feature actually make sense? Where is it appropriately positioned in the user's sort of natural workflow? Like for Canva, if it's, say, an editing feature, it'll be obviously in that editing workflow. If it's a sort of more like download, export, publish feature, it'll be in that sort of publish workflow. So you start with where makes the best product experience. And so when you then step back to the free tier, you leave it in the same place, really. In most cases, you don't put it somewhere else. And so you have it in a sort of like, with Canva, how we signal these is that we put a crown on them. So the Canva Pro sort of iconography is associated with a crown. And so we put a crown on a lot of our paid features before in the free state. And so users can kind of see the crown and go, what's this? Click on it, and we sort of tell them a little bit about the benefit of that feature and how they can be doing more. Hey, why don't you take a 30-day free trial, no obligation, to check it out and see if this feature in Canva Pro can help you do more. That's sort of how we approach it.
That's fantastic. In terms of like all of the potential ideas, because I'm sure you have a lot. Like a second ago, you just said you could run a survey and then overnight you get 2,000 answers. I think that's kind of like a benefit of having the traffic that Canva does. I don't think every company can do that. First of all, like I would get hooked on just doing a survey every single day to figure stuff out, right? And so How do you kind of balance all of the potential ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think some of the frameworks out there are pretty well known, especially amongst your listenership, Alex, like the ICE framework or the RICE framework. And ICE is something that we go back to again and again, really, when we have a lot of, we do seasonal brainstorming sessions. We'll get the whole team together at least once a season, and often more than that once a season with the sort of tighter like product team. And we'll just sort of reassess, what have we learned in the last few months? What are the new opportunities? What are the new company priorities? What are the new product bets that we've launched in the last few months that we need to maybe demonstrate some value of to our users to help Canva Pro grow? And we'll take all those sort of inputs and we'll do some brainstorming sessions and come up with a list of ideas. And really from there, yeah, we just use a standard framework like ICE, for example.